They asked me if I'd ever worked the steps before. And I said no. I took a deep breath and I said no. Because it was like the one thing that I'd never done to try to get sober is work the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, I'm a guy who went to Celebrate Recovery. I've had people lay hands on me to deliver me from my sins. I've been to therapists. I've been to in and out of jail. I've moved across the country. You know, I've taken a trip, not taken a trip. I've changed my brand, all this other stuff, all the stuff that the big book asks. Have you done this? I've clearly done it. And the one thing that I haven't done is the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And they started talking about God, and they started talking about honesty, and I had to get honest in there about that. And they worked me, much like you guys, they told me to be present, and they walked me through the steps, and they walked me through the steps quickly and in rapid succession, the way that they're supposed to be worked. And they in the doctor's opinion, where it talks about this phenomenon of craving, and it explains things that you cannot otherwise account for, you know, it finally started making sense why I sacrificed everything that I did for an effect produced. It's because I'm a drug addict, because I physically need this stuff. And then when the book talks about this power of choice, and the guy sitting there qualifying me says, do you think you have a choice on whether you use again or not? And I said, yeah, I got a choice, I got an option. Then why do you always choose to do that which is killing you? Don't you think if you had a choice, you wouldn't make that? And then I saw that I didn't really have a choice. And God gave me the ability to see that. And I was no longer a victim of my circumstances. You know, I was qualified. I am one of these guys. And power of choice, looking back at, you know, making a firm resolution in jail not to, and then the curious mental blank spot, and I just do it. People were talking about God. They were talking about the power of God goes deep and the step process. And that if I can just take these steps and follow a set of specific, clear-cut instructions, then I can recover, then I can be recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And I didn't even really believe them. I just knew that there was nothing else for me to do. Like, if it's not this, then what? And so I just started doing that. I did everything that they asked me to do. And I didn't do it perfect, but I did everything that they asked me to do. Dad taught me to be a hard worker. That's what I did. I took that willpower and applied it to the steps. I don't have any willpower around the power of choice and drugs and alcohol. I can't. I always do it. But I took that willpower and started doing the steps with it. But I'm not only doing the steps, but I'm praying. Like, it's becoming, I'm starting to change. You know, the step, you're either willing to change or you're not. It's got to, you got to shed the old life to have a new one. My drug-addicted life was a way of life. I mean, it was nonstop all the time. Before I went to bed, you know, wake up thinking about it. I have to take that life and work this new life. I can't just not stop thinking about that life. It doesn't work. So this is a way of life that it had to become one for me. And I work the steps, and I'm doing this thing, and I get to the fifth step, and I'm scared to death to tell all the stuff, but I go ahead and do it anyway, and I start to have a spiritual experience. I had an experience, a powerful experience with step 3, and then I had a powerful experience with step 5. And then I was set to get out of treatment, and my mom hadn't been down to visit me. And I was on steps like 8 through 12. I hadn't made any amends yet, but she came down to visit me, and they pulled me out of the shower to come meet with her, and it was her and Richard Ryan, my interventionist, and she was crying, and Richard was crying. And they said, your father's gone. He'd had a heart attack, you know, while I was in treatment. And I didn't think about using drugs over that. I didn't think about using drugs, and it hurt, and I got to experience that, and I got to be present. And they wouldn't let me go back home. I had people in my life who wouldn't let me go back home to like a funeral. They told me I had to stay because nothing was worth risking that, putting me back in a place that would jeopardize what I had just done. And I was mad, but I just did it. And I got some clarity in what God gave me, all God gave me, and I didn't need any more than this, is that God's timing is perfect. I remember in the beginning when I got sober and I didn't have anything, that the prayer that I used to pray was, God, please use me in a big way. please, and I meant that, and that's all I wanted at the time, was for God to use me in a big way. From where I sit and from where I stand up there, God answers prayers. These spiritual principles in the book, this God of your understanding, the way that we do things, you actually can have what I have if you're willing to do what I did. And I'm not saying like that you want to be like me or anything like that, but if you want the freedom, if you want a life, if you want to set your goals and far exceed them, put your energy into the process that we're trying to help you walk through. Do it day by day, one foot in front of the other, chop wood, carry water. And when you look back, you'll see that, it's true. You don't have to ever use drugs again. You don't have to ever go to another treatment center again, another sober living. Like, this can be the last stop on the block. Not one more jail, not one more Suboxone, not one more therapist. We've got a way out that works.